Good morning and welcome back to Plow and Pantry. Today we are doing our mid-July garden tour. This is the time of year where I do one beginning of the month, mid-month, end of the month. I will link the beginning of July here in case you want to see how far things have come and the difference between last tour and this one, because there is a difference. What a difference 2 weeks can make. Starting out here where I normally do in the watermelon patch, I've got this one over here going crazy. I am in the process of mulching these, but the kind of mulch I use in this area is out of stock everywhere. I'm trying to decide what to do about that because I use different types of mulch to kind of delineate garden areas, and changing it partway might just drive me a little crazy. I'm a smidge OCD. It doesn't really matter, but I'm a smidge OCD. So over here in the garden patch, I do have a little bit of mulch over here, and I have two of my original ones doing really well. I'll get closer to those in a second. The ones over here that I'm pretty sure the birds ate the seeds of, I had more seeds of these too, so I did start them. They are over in my little potting bench. I'll transplant them this week. I don't know that they have time to grow to maturity, but I didn't buy any extra seed. I already had it. Might as well try it and see what happens, right? I did plop a zucchini in here that is starting to grow and do well. So those are like a sugar baby bush and a black one that was new to me. I can't remember the complete name of it, but it was new to me. And I did not have more of this one, Benny Codina. It was also new to me. I find these tags all over right now. I think the birds are moving those too. Over here though, I have the Crimson Sweet, always does really well for me. And no, I don't remember what this one was. It might be a Crimson Sweet as well. This one is growing all over. It has some baby watermelons that are looking really nice. It's putting on growth, and it's pretty healthy. It's probably a Crimson Sweet. They are always pretty darn good for me. And then this one has grown. I put 3 in one hill, and 2 of them are struggling but starting to finally grow, and the other one was just growing from the beginning. And it has blooms on it, so it's getting ready to do its thing as well. Behind me, this is the row of tomatillos. They are growing like gangbusters. There are flowers all over them. I do have one that's a little bit smaller here. I'm not sure why. I might put some organic fertilizer on just that one just to see what happens. I just want to make sure that it's not getting shaded out by the others. But tomatillos are doing really well. They like this spot. They get a lot of direct sun. Tomatillos love heat. Technically, they do not grow in my area. Technically. They're one of the things I push, but they do well for me so long as they're getting enough heat. Back behind me in the rest of that area is cucumbers, and they are doing well too. Let's go take a closer look. Okay, in case you did not watch the videos where I planted these 2 rows are trialing rows for the University of Tennessee, and they are both comparative. So there are 2 types of cucumbers in here that I'm comparing against each other, and 2 types in there that I'm comparing against each other. So these are tasty, and I believe it's tender sweet down on the other end. So far, obviously, tender sweet is growing bigger. I do have to say I need to make sure I'm controlling the water because stuff around the middle tends to get a little bit of accidental double watering from my sprinkler. But they are all alive and doing well. This one that I lost down here was my fault with the hose. No fault of the plant. But those are doing well. And then this second row is Gateway and Eversweet. What's the other one? The geese are over there today. Oh, there's one flying in by himself. Where are you going, buddy? Why are you leaving your friends? Usually they all fly together. I'm confused. What's going on, people? Okay, well, we'll leave them be. So, these are Gateway and Eversweet, and they are obviously doing even better. They're all putting on growth, but some of them are starting to climb. Some of them have flowers now of the Eversweet variety. A couple of them have flowers. That one down there has a couple flowers. I need to put some hooks on them, get them to where they climb, train them to climb on the cattle panel. These are mini-me's, which are the youth trialing ones for my kids. They are doing really well. I have planted those before myself and they didn't do as well. Could be the location. And then Diva, not doing as well, which is another one I've planted before and not had success with. I am going to, the last 2 rows over here are Chicago pickles. And I am going to have to start some in my seed trays and put some out here because I keep filling those empty spots and then a bird gets it. So they are doing very different levels of okay. There is plenty of time for pickles, for getting cucumbers before frost. So I'm not worried about that, except that I do want to make sure we get them planted. Oh, we have another crew coming to join. They look farther away on the camera than they actually are. They're like 25 feet overhead. Sorry, I like the geese. They're one of the fun things about living here to me. So I do have some areas where I filled in and they are coming up, but I still have some that I need to start some in a tray so that birds don't get to them and then plant them out here. Okay, so that is it. I got that area cleaned out for peas. I got them started. I decided to go ahead and not direct sow those this year, but put them in trays because of the bird problem I'm having. So let me go over to the middle and other side of the garden. So right here is the pepper, one of the pepper rows, really long pepper row. I'll get up closer in a second. These first sections are pimentos and they are growing quite well. I need to just let them ripen. The middle is the potatoes. I have 3 types of potatoes in there. I have a gap right here where I had to pull one out. It was just kind of diseased and falling apart. I didn't want that to spread, so I just pulled it out. The rest are doing well. The ones down at the very end are looking like they might be closer to harvest. Typically for potatoes, I don't harvest them till fall. They'll get kind of brown and lay on the ground, and that's when I harvest them. But this year, I don't know if it's the heat or what, they might be aging a little bit faster. And then the onions are looking great back here. My red candy onions down there.
So my mic cut out right here when I was explaining that the onions are doing really well. My red onions are the only ones that look kind of sad, which is actually kind of typical for me. The white and yellow just seem to grow better, but I've got good sized bulbs on those white and yellow ones, and they are getting close to harvest time. So I'll be pulling those and letting them cure pretty soon.
Tomatoes up here are doing great. There are struggling. Tomatoes are struggling in general. This crazy heat. We have, normally for us in June, we're like 80s and wet. July, it starts to transition. End of July and August is like hot and dry. It has been hot and dry here since May. It's been crazy, like the second half of May. And it's really, things are really struggling. And the tomatoes are like, you know what, it's too hot for even me. And so they're not wanting to put on new flowers. They're not wanting to, tomatoes won't pollinate after like 95 degrees. And we have been in the mid to high 90s like every day, but their pollen gets a little too gooky to get transferred around. So it is what it is. There is some success out there. I will get some tomatoes, but we'll see if I get enough to preserve. You would think with more than 50 plants I would, but we'll see. So these are my beefsteaks I plant every year. I have a few. It looks like we're getting some flowers. We did have one day in the 80s last week. That might have helped. I have fingers crossed and prayers said we're supposed to get rain this week and cooler weather for a couple days, and we really, really need it. Okay. These are the experimental row. It looks like a bird moved my tag from down there. This is delicious tomato, marmalade skies. This one's not doing well. Brown sugar is just, it's heat stressed. It has been watered. Its dirt is not dry. But this is what tomatoes do when they are heat stressed. It doesn't like it. It has not, it's got like little flower things, but it hasn't put on flowers yet. This is the Harvest Moon. That one there. These are normally loaded by now. Ooh. Looks like the storm we had last week. I need to come out and trim that before it kills the plant. That is a great white persimmon tomato I replanted. It's doing good. And around here for the rest of the rows we start Amish paste. So I've got some good Amish paste going on. I need to come out and trim the blight off. And then down in these rows, it starts to get a little more iffy. These are all Amish paste because that's what I can with. That's what I make canned tomatoes, ketchup, spaghetti sauce, barbecue sauce, all that stuff with. So these just aren't doing as well. I'm going to have to... I'm not someone who fertilizes or uses weed killer or pesticide unless it's absolutely necessary. So this might be one of the years where I have to pull some out and help some plants along. Then down here are more paste tomatoes, but they are different types. So Juliet is doing okay. That one's doing, it doesn't, the growth isn't great, but it's got some, look at that cluster right there. San Marzano, that is a leftover green bean from previous year. Super sauce. I'm seeing plant growth, but no tomatoes on that. Then over here in the tomato tunnel, I need to, this is why I can put the tiny tomatoes in a tunnel. These are all the tomatoes that are salad size. They grow really long, and so I need to get back in here and weave these through the thing. I do have some almost ripe here on this first one, which is Jasper cherry tomato. It's a hybrid. I have some babies over here and a lot of flowers on this one, which is a red centriflora. Over here, I just have growth. Oh, wait, here's some babies. Over here is the Artemis F1. I think there's two of those. They both have a few babies. And then I have a lot of growth. I think that's a yellow pear. A lot of growth. And several babies. This one is Sugar Lump. It's got some babies at the bottom and growth on top, but no other flowers or anything yet. My orange Peruche over here has several babies. What is this one? Maybe also a Sugar Lump. Somewhere I have a different one over here. I wanted to... Oh, Honeycomb down here also has some babies at the bottom, growth, some flowers at the top, but no other... It has not set any other fruit yet. And next to the tomato tunnel, we have the corn patch, which, if you were with me at my last video, you know that I had a problem, but I'm pretty sure was birds. And most of my stuff never sprouted. I left the ones that were, that's what you see that's taller. And the smaller ones I started just directly in seed trays like that one. Those are the extras. Those are like the starting cells. I started them outside so I wouldn't have to harden them off. But on my potting bench, they'd be safer. And I just transplanted them and they are doing fine. That's what's going on over here. We'll see that row over there, that's looking better. When these didn't come up well, I reseeded over there with some decorative fall corn. So that row was different and it did decently. I don't know if the birds didn't like that seed or what, but this I seeded twice. So I couldn't find any more of the corn I like to grow, so I was kind of at the mercy of the store. So this is something, I forget the name, it's something like Jackpot. The smaller ones that you see. Anyway, we'll see if we actually get any corn this year. This might be the first year I've had a corn fail. Corn has always been so easy to grow. I don't even think about it. I just stick it in the ground and it grows. All right, let me move you around so you can see how the beans are doing. If you were here when I planted these, I'm not growing that many green beans this year because I still have a lot in storage from last year. I have them freeze dried, I have them canned, and those are primarily the way we eat them, not so much fresh, just a little bit. But I am trialing these two types for University of Tennessee. That's why those are here. And then these are the ones I normally like to grow, which is Blue Lake beans. I did a bush bean this year because I wasn't ready on the arch over there to plant green beans. And I was using this arch for tomatoes again. So I did the bush bean variety. Those are doing well. And then over here are my absolute favorite bean, which is the yellow wax bean Boer de Rokenkoort. I'm pretending I'm French there. I don't know how to say that. I only planted 2 rows of those. No, I think it's opposite. These are my Boer de Rokenkoort because they're my favorite. Those are the Blue Lake bush beans because I was also growing these green beans, and those are regular green beans too. So I like the Blue Lake beans because they have the long, narrow, not lumpy pods. Some people like lumpy pods, some people like smooth. I like the smooth, round, stick type green beans, and that's what those are. I do not know what type these are. Where my labels go? I have the labels inside, and I have the video to refer back to. Magnum, these are regular green beans. Magnum and Buff Valentine, to compare against each other. Both bush beans. They have put on growth. They're putting on tendrils. They're about to flower. And then we'll have green beans pretty soon. They're pretty fast. Right here in this box next to the beans, I put in the Mexican sunflowers. And I only put 2 in this big box because they do grow tall and bush out. And I wanted to give them room. They have adjusted. They're starting to put on new growth. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll see a lot more growth and maybe some flower buds starting. Out here is a spot I've been working on. There has been some progress made. I've got some soil ready. I do need to get more stuff for soil. So this bed, I had to pull out so many weeds that it went down to the bottom. And so I covered it with cardboard stuff. And I'm going to have to refill like the entire thing with soil. I'm going to trim some branches and stuff from another place to help fill the spots there. That one is where I emptied the chicken coop shavings. I need to pull some weeds out of there. It'll be ready. This is starting to get overgrown. This is the next bed I will work on probably, and along with this area for the pathway mulch, which brings us over to the rest of the garden, which is this half of the raised bed area where we have herbs, peppers, some lettuces, zucchini, more peppers, flowers I planted in a recent video, more peppers, and sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are doing well. There are growing some mushrooms in between. That does not bother me one bit. I love the color variation on sweet potato leaves. I think it's pretty. They tend to just kind of take over the box until you dig them up in the fall. Over here are some of the first peppers I planted this year. These are jalapenos right here. And they have put on a lot of growth. There are some flowers. Oh, I see a baby jalapeno. There we go. There are little flowers and flower buds all over the place. There's a nasturtium back there. I like to plant those for pollination and feed them to the chickens. I have weeds. These are not the jicama that I seeded here. These are Lazia peppers. Ooh, look at that one. Nice and big. I believe it has to turn red though. And this row is candy apple sweet peppers. We've got some babies in there. Got some flowers on that one. So the flowers I planted like a week and a half ago, for some reason the middle section died. The rest they look like they're at the very end of their adjustment time, and then they're going to start growing now. When you transplant anything, it takes about 2 weeks to adjust. So for the herb bed, we have some basil here. This is pesto party basil. We have parsley here. I've harvested off of a few times. Basil I've harvested off of a few times. We're already flowering right here, partly because of the heat, so I need to come harvest again. Keep those flowers gone, keep the basil producing basil leaves for me. The dark opal basil that I always love to plant just because it's beautiful. This is the basil that I planted. I had bought a little pot in the produce section of the store to use the fresh basil. There was a lot of plants in that one little pot. Didn't use it all, so I put them out here. That's actually doing really, really well. Volunteer calendula from last year. I had planted some jicama in here that I grew. Like I had planted direct sown some seeds over in those peppers and then started some seeds indoors here. These are doing better, I believe. This is lettuce leaf basil. It is a cool little texture. Not the best basil flavor. It's not bad. It's just not as good as the others, but it looks fun. Some more Genovese basil, which is my favorite normal. This is the dill I planted. And then dill I'm trialing for UT, which is teddy dill and fernleaf dill, which right now are doing about the same. And then over here are some extra peppers I plopped in. So I had red marble peppers are these two. There's one baby and a couple blooms. And I use flower stakes for keeping up my taller peppers. I do need to bring some out. I know I've got some, especially the ones on this end, because our prevailing wind comes this way. And so they will get kind of blown over a bit. So I need to stake some of those up because they aren't over. So this pepper, yeah, see like that? This section is jalapenos right here. And this one has jalapenos on it. I need to come harvest some. I have my marigold right here. This is the only one I plant that's orange. The others I plant are white. These are sugar rush peach. They are loaded with flowers right now, baby flowers. Sugar rush peach take a little longer than other peppers in my experience, but they, towards the end, are completely loaded down. Completely loaded down. It's crazy. They're very productive peppers. More sugar rush peach. There's just a lot of blooms on these right now. Tons of them. I like to do sugar rush peach in a hot sauce with peach tomatoes, which I'm not sure I planted this year, and peaches, like a sweet hot sauce. And then over here are more jalapenos. These are my white. They're Kilimanjaro marigolds. They're more of a creamy yellow. And then this whole side is Anaheim's, which I do have some Anaheim peppers on. These are what I use to can my own green chilies. I could come out here and harvest. This one needs to be staked because there are some peppers growing on here. And then another jalapeno plant here at the top. It's got some baby jalapenos on it. Not ready to harvest, but like this long. Lettuce that I tried for summer heat. To me, they were still bitter, but I did look up to see if there were any tricks to unbitter the bitter lettuce, and I'm going to try something. So I will harvest one maybe today because they're ready. Then over here are banana peppers. I have taken a couple off to eat. I need to take more off so that it keeps producing. And these I just pickle like instead of pepperoncinis. That's what I like to have. And I like to wait until they have turned colors so that I can get like a color variety in my jar. I just like that instead of all green. So that one needs to be staked up over there, but I will come harvest those. These are different sweet peppers, a lot of them snacking size. There are several blooms on several of them. I can see some baby ones over there of the more round kind. Several blooms, only a couple peppers so far. And then back here is where I took out the extra garlic I had planted and a couple shallots. I've got a marigold and I put 2 zucchini here. That's going to do it for today's garden tour. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.